This past weekend, Auburn landed one of the best punters in all of college football.
You are Locked On Auburn, your daily podcast on the Auburn Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into Locked On Auburn, your daily Auburn Tigers podcast. I'm your host, Zac Blackerby, and thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. All right, joining us now, Hudson Kaak, the newest member of the Auburn Tigers, the former Oklahoma State punter, now the Auburn Tiger. First off, welcome to Auburn. Super, super excited to have you. And I guess the question that everybody wants to know when it comes to the portal is, why Auburn, Hudson?
Hey, how you doing? Thanks for having me.
Sure.
Auburn was just I felt like it was a great fit for me. I got along with the coaches really well while I was there. I loved the facilities. They sold the place really well to me and the future and what we're trying to do over the next couple of years. And I really sort of bought into it, and I believe that we can do something pretty special.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure you have an idea of what Auburn is, and then you get here. I mean, what was kind of the differences of that? Like, what stood out of or maybe surprised you while you were visiting Auburn?
To be completely honest, I didn't really have too many preconceived ideas of what it was going to be like.
Okay.
Obviously, being from Australia, I knew about the school of Auburn, and I knew like a few Aussies that had punted there and whatnot, but I didn't really have like a stereotype of what I thought it was going to be like, if you will. But what impressed me was just the way how professional everything was, and the way that they conducted themselves through the whole recruiting sort of process was just, I've only in the portal since Monday, and I'm already, so about a week. I was able to develop those relationships, and it felt like home really quickly. So I'm excited.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's great to hear. So, yeah, I mean, you mentioned several Australian punters. I mean, really at this point, like, you're not a major college football program unless you have an Australian punter at this point, it seems. And so I guess you'll be Auburn's third in a row, I'm guessing, behind Sipos and Oscar. So is that like a tight community? Do you guys talk to each other a lot, or is it not that deep of a thing?
Usually, from my experience with Oklahoma State, when I got to Oklahoma State, Tom, the Aussie punter who'd been there before, him and I came really close. You don't really talk until you go to the school that they've gone to. Like, we don't have like a big group chat of all the punters in America.
Right.
So once I'd entered the portal and the coaches had sort of reached out, Oscar Chapman also reached out to me, and I was able to have a good conversations with him. And so I think, especially having him there for the first few months, because he doesn't leave until May, I don't think, that'll be really good and beneficial for me to have him there to bounce ideas off and just have him there as a bit of a sounding board for everything. Obviously being the only other Australian on the team.
Yeah, sure. So the transfer portal is fascinating to fans and media folks. And I mean, it's still so new, and there's still like just so many things we don't really know about it. So for your perspective, you say, okay, yeah, I'm officially entering the portal. What happens in the hours after that?
It's kind of a nerve-wracking experience because you don't really know what kind of reception you're going to get. But I sort of made my decision the week leading up to it, or the few weeks leading up to it, and then I wanted to enter in as early as I could so that I had as maximum amount of time to do, if I needed to do visits and all that sort of thing. So I entered. I think the portal opened on Monday. I entered first thing, I think it was like 9 a.m. on Monday morning, and then Coach Burns reached out to me later on that day. So he was obviously sitting there watching the portal, and he sent me a message and was like, we'd love to talk about whether you come here and play for Auburn. And I was excited to do a visit because obviously when you enter the portal, I wanted to go somewhere bigger. No disrespect to Oklahoma State. I wouldn't want to downgrade, if that makes sense, to something like smaller school. So I was SEC school reach out to me, and I knew the history that they had because I knew who Sipos was, I knew who Chapman was, and I just wanted to sort of entertain that idea, and then they got me out on a visit pretty quick, and I fell in love pretty quick.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. So how much of, like, we talk about this with other positions, and obviously Auburn was in the market for a portal quarterback. And I mean, I guess you were here at the same time as Jackson, or is that not true? Did y'all overlap?
We were here and we had a lot of meetings together and stuff.
Got it.
Get to talk to him that much because we were sort of go the whole day.
Yeah.
Things, but yeah, I saw him around the facility.
Got it. But yeah, we talk about fit and scheme when it comes to, quarterbacks and receivers and offensive linemen. And I was just kind of unaware of this until I talked to, who was it? It was Cody Parkey. Talked about how everybody's kicking styles are so much different, and scheme and all that does kind of go into play. It's more than just, kicking a football, and in your case, punting a football. Does Auburn's style of punting match what you want to do, or does that kind of just say, hey, we're going to change it based off of the type of punter that we have?
It definitely appeals to me. The big difference between Oscar and I is that I'm a left footer. So all the schemes are going to be mirrored of what Oscar had. So
okay.
But other than that, what appealed to me about Auburn is that their versatility and their ability to demonstrate different punts. They're not just sort of this is the punt we always do at every time. It's sort of circumstantial to what the game needs at what time, and so that I feel like that gives me an opportunity to showcase the skills that I have, and it's something that I pride myself on, is being able to perform different punts in different situations in games. So that really excited me, and the coaches said that there's a really big push to sort of have more of a conversation as to what punt is most comfortable for the punter during the game. So if you don't want to be doing certain punts, the same punt when you're 42 yards out than you will do if you're backed up in the end zone. So I think being able to have that conversation and that relationship with your coach to be able to tell them what will fit the situation best for you and what will fit the best situation best from their point of view is really important, I think. So that was really appealing to me.
So what changes the punt? What makes them different? Is it how you drop the ball? Is it where you kick it?
Yeah.
What makes them different?
Well, there can be heaps of things without boring you too much. I mean, I don't know how much.
Bore me a little bit because I'm curious.
Yeah. So obviously there's spirals and end over end punts.
Right.
Spirals, you take typically getting more hang time and distance, but the location can be harder to control, and also you don't want to do that. So if you're 42 yards out and you're doing a punt, you don't want to put it 10 deep into the end zone because that's a touchback. You'd rather kick an end over end punt that has a lot of backspin on it that might land on the 5 and bounce either sideways or backwards, if that makes sense.
Sure.
So, but then in the end zone, you don't want to hit a 35-yard end over end ball and then put the defense in a bad position. So it's just circumstantial to the game, as well as rolling out left or right. So I don't know how much you pay attention to it, but you see punters catch it and then run to the left or the right before they punt it. And also, depending on what the defense is doing, the punt protection needs to change to make sure you don't get blocked or anything like that. So if you're backed up on the end zone and everyone's kind of close to you, you're not going to hit a rollout punt because obviously they're going to block it, and they're going to typically go for a block more when you're backed up. But then at the same time, wind, rain, sun, all those things come into it as to what the punter would feel most comfortable with at the time.
Is that the stuff you're thinking about? When I assume they took you to Jordan-Hare Stadium as part of your visit, is that kind of what's going through your mind of okay, where's the sun? What's the turf feel like and all of that?
Yeah, definitely. It's important. Especially sort of I'm from, punting in Oklahoma. It's one of the windiest states in America. So I've gotten used to having to put up with different wind, and in the stadium here, it swirls around because it's I don't know if you know what OSU stadium looks like. It's a big horseshoe.
Okay.
open ends, so the wind comes in the sides and it swirls around, and it can be really confusing at times as to what sort of wind you're going to get, because the wind on the field feels different to the wind 30 yards in the air where you punted the ball. So just things like that. Whereas Jordan has more open, sort of straight up, so it'll won't swirl around as much, if that makes sense.
Got it.
So, and then the turf, I love the real grass, and most schools in the Big 12 are turf. So that was a big appeal to me as well, to come into a league where I'm going to have real grass under my feet.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. More with Hudson in just a moment, right here on Locked On Auburn. Today's show brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. Hey, right now, new customers, you can bet $5. You get $150 in bonus bets. If you win, the FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets, whether it's on football, basketball, baseball when it comes back, all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Visit FanDuel.com to join today and you can get started with $150 in bonus bets if that first $5 bet wins. All at FanDuel.com. Today's show is also brought to you by the College Football Playoff. It's that time of year. The College Football Playoff is back. And with the newly expanded 12-team format, it's guaranteed to be bigger and better than ever, bringing you all the hard-hitting and high-flying excitement you love. TNT's sports coverage of the College Football Playoff begins on December 21st, starting with the College Football Playoff Kickoff Show presented by AT&T at 11 a.m. Eastern, leading into our first matchup, the SMU Mustangs battling the Penn State Nittany Lions at noon. Then the Clemson Tigers look to upset the Texas Longhorns in a showdown at 4 p.m. Eastern. Don't miss a moment of the action. Watch the College Football Playoff presented by Allstate, live on TNT, True TV, TBS, and Max. I mean, you seem like a pretty athletic guy. I mean, how many fake punts did they have like ready dialed up to go when you were at Oklahoma State?
We had usually one every week. But it was only whether the circumstances called for it as to whether they'd call it. And unfortunately, this season we were behind a lot. And, if once position where you'd probably not going to win, you don't want to show your fakes in case you're in a close game. But, yeah, fakes are something that I would love to do. Running the ball was something that I'd love to do, and it genuinely excites me. Any way I can get involved in the game is really appealing to me, for sure.
Yeah. And I mean, so it looks like you've started doing some stuff on your Instagram about like trick shots, but you're punting it, kind of like a dude perfect type thing. I was watching a few of those before we got connected. But what kind of sparked that? And are you going to continue that while you're here at Auburn? Yeah.
So I was talking about that with the coaches the other night at dinner. So initially it started for me, for our collective, when I go back to Australia, I do like a short video promoting something. And we were sitting there and I was at the lake in Australia and my mates were filming me, like trying to do the video. And they were like, no offense, but you just standing there is kind of boring. Like, why don't you do something interesting to spice it up a little bit to maybe make people watch? And so we grabbed a football and I said what I needed to say about the collective or whatever it was, and then I turned around and punted it out to my friend who was out in the lake laying on a tube, and he jumped off and caught it and jumped into the water. And so then we posted that, and it kind of got a lot of traction here, and everyone was like, that was really cool, that was entertaining, you should do more of that. And so then we filmed another one where I just went in and I kicked it into the basketball ring. Mm-hmm. And then it didn't blow up, but people loved it. It had a few thousand views and stuff. And then we just changed it into because the winter can be pretty boring for football fans because there's not a lot of content coming out. So then we just did a thing. It was a segment. It was Trick Shot Tuesday, and every Tuesday we'd do a different trick shot, and see how we go. Test myself and see what kind of things we can come up with. But it was really fun. It was a way to stay entertained throughout the winter months where there's not much football going on.
I love it.
So I'd probably, I don't know if the Auburn fans would like it, but I'd probably maybe.
Oh, they would.
Yeah.
They would. Yeah, that's right up their alley for sure. Yeah, the most impressive one I saw, and I didn't watch all of them, but I watched a good bit of them, I think. But where you went up the tower, I assume it's for filming or something, and you took like 3 or 4 balls up there, and you got in like the third try. There was like a trash can in the middle of the practice field, and you just kind of boomed it over there. Pretty crazy stuff.
Yeah, so I was on the roof of our indoor stadium. So we're up there, and the coaches sit up there to watch practice.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, got it in the trash can. It was pretty fun. I liked it.
That's cool, man. That's cool. All right, so you mentioned Tanner Burns, Coach Burns called you. What was most of the communication and both, I guess, before and during visit with him? How much did Hugh Freeze step in and talk with you? What was that like?
It was majority with Coach Burns, because obviously he's the special teams coach, so he's going to be dealing with me the most. But I did meet with Coach Freeze during my visit, and he was very impressive, and I felt like he was easy to talk to, and we clicked quite well. I didn't really know what to expect. Obviously, I've one school in America, so I don't really have anything to compare. But he was really good. We had some good conversations, and I felt like it was a good person to play for, and I'm excited to play under him for sure.
How different are the two? I know it wasn't a ton of time, but based off of what you could see in the short amount of time you were here for the visit, how different is Auburn and Oklahoma State?
Are you talking about specifically between Freeze and Gundy, or this whole school?
Yeah, I guess so.
I actually thought I really liked Gundy. And I got along really well with Gundy, and I thought Freeze was very similar in the way that he approached the situation and the way he held himself. And he seems to be a very smart and switched on sort of intense about football character, but then at the same time can have normal personable conversations about other things as well. And, Freeze, most of the time we were talking about things outside of football. So I liked that, because it made me feel like I'm not just like a number, like another player. He actually was like interested in my life, and he was telling me about Australia and the experiences he's had in Australia, which was really cool. And we had a few good laughs about, he went to Australia, but he went to arguably the most boring part of Australia, so he didn't really get the best idea of it. But he was really good, and both coaches have been great. I don't really have anything bad to say about either of them.
No, that's awesome. That's fantastic. That's fantastic. So did you plan for Auburn to kind of be your only visit in this portal window, or did you expect to do more? And if that's the case, why was Auburn the one where you're like, nope, this is where I want to be?
Yeah, so I'd definitely, I would say Auburn were my front runner for the most time, and that's why I prioritized visiting there first. But then once I got there, I was there with my brother, and we'd talked about a whole lot of things while we were there, and just the relationships that we were able to build really quickly, and the community feel about the culture of Auburn was super appealing to me. And so I think I kind of got to a point where I was like, I don't really need to see anywhere else. I know that this is where I'm going to be, because I knew that even if I went to other places, I would always just be, my heart would sort of want to stay back at Auburn, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
There were other offers and other visit offers, but I was sort of, I usually just know when I'm going to make a decision, and I didn't want to waste anybody's time. And also, how the portal is. If I take my time too much, I'm sure there was other good punters out there that might sneak in and take it. So I just wanted to seal the deal, because I knew I wanted to come here.
Cool, man. That's awesome. So like your life is changing in a lot of aspects so quick. I mean, I think so many people, when they think about and talk about the portal and transferring, it's just like, okay, it's like you're going to a new job, but it's so much more than that. Like you got to move your life from Oklahoma to Auburn, Alabama. It's like, what is that process like? When do you get here? When does this new part of your life start?
Yeah, it is a big jump. I think my move-in day is maybe the 10th of January.
Okay.
So the time to have Christmas and New Year's, and get all my ducks in a row before I before I head over. But it's just one of those things. It's just how it is these days with the portal and everything. You got to make a move, and so far everyone's been really welcoming and helpful and on the process of moving. And I've never even been to Alabama before. I've never really been south, to be honest. Sorry, I went to Florida, but
Florida's not the South, though. Really, it's really not.
I didn't really go to Florida. I just played a game there against UCF, so I'd never even seen the culture of Alabama. So I was glad to go to a visit and see what it was like, because that was the one thing that I was like, I'm not sure about. So yeah, I think it's just, as I said, one of those things, and we'll just get it all going. And once I'm in, and I'm sure once I get my feet under the desk, metaphorically speaking, I'll be good.
Where'd they take you to eat while you were here?
All right, let's see if I can remember. They took me to, was it Vintage? Was there one called Vintage?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Amsterdam.
Okay.
I went to Waffle House because I wanted to. I'd never been to Waffle House before.
You never been to Waffle House?
No. So I went to Waffle House. That was nice.
What'd you think?
It was good. It was good. It was like I'd never been to one. We have a Just Waffling here. I don't even know if that's a franchise or not, but
never heard of it. Yeah, I don't know.
Like a similar vibe. But I'd always wanted to go to a Waffle House. Where else do we go? What's the like complex? It's like a food court. There's like a bunch of different options in there.
Right off of campus?
Yeah.
Heyday Market, maybe?
Yeah, Heyday Market. I went there, had some good noodles. The food, yeah, I really liked all the options. It was good.
Sweet. I'm stoked that you finally had Waffle House. That's great. I would have led with that. I had no clue.
Yeah.
I had no clue. That's fantastic. They don't have Waffle Houses in Oklahoma?
I'm sure they do in Oklahoma, just not in Stillwater. Stillwater's kind of small, so there's not as many options.
Well, now you can tell, your Australian friends, like, I've really, like, now I'm in America. Yeah. Now I've really experienced America now at this point.
Exactly. I've crossed it off my list.
Well, hey, man, thank you so much for your time. Welcome to Auburn, and can't wait to see you kicking the ball here, man.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you having me on.
Great stuff from Hudson. Be sure to support him on social media and cheer him on as he's kicking the football, hopefully exactly where he wants it to go this season. Hey, please like the video. Please subscribe, and we'll see you next time. This has been Locked On Auburn.